Big Juke had a hit on Dog Head or whatnot, so 100,000 on Dog Head.
Once Big Juke was linked to Dolph's murder, the streets started talking. Was Yo Gotti behind it? Would Key Glock strike back? Well, now, it might not be just speculation. New footage just dropped, linking Key Glock to Big Juke's murder and an attempted hit on Yo Gotti. I've got the details. Let's get into it. The streets don't lie when Memphis beef turned deadly. So check this out. There's been some wild allegations floating around about Key Glock allegedly paying for Yo Gotti's murder, and if you have not been living under a rock, you'd know it all started with a feud. The actual feud stems from a decade-long rivalry between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph that started back in 2014 when Young Dolph declined an offer to join Yo Gotti's CMG label, preferring to invest in himself and his independent hustle. Now that might seem like small potatoes to some of y'all, but in the streets of Memphis, respect and reputation mean everything, and when you turn down the wrong person's offer, it can set off a chain reaction that lasts for years. Young Dolph, born Adolph Thornton Jr., wasn't just some random rapper trying to make it. This brother was already building something special with his Paper Route Empire label. In August 2014, during an appearance on Sway in the Morning, Dolph publicly discussed his decision to decline Yo Gotti's CMG deal, explaining that he preferred to invest in himself rather than join another artist movement. While Yo Gotti never publicly confirmed taking offense to this rejection, the streets started talking, and tensions began brewing beneath the surface. Now Key Glock, that's Markevius LaShun Cathy for those keeping track. He's Young Dolph's cousin and was signed to Paper Route Empire in 2017. This young brother wasn't even directly involved in the original beef, but blood is thicker than water. And when your family is involved, you automatically become part of the equation whether you want to or not. The thing about Memphis rap beef is that it ain't just about hurt feelings or wounded egos. It's about territory, respect, and the complex web of street politics that governs how business gets done in the hood. The competitive nature of the Memphis rap scene, where both Yo Gotti and Young Dolph were vying for dominance, set the stage for their rivalry. Gotti had established himself as a mainstream figure with hits and industry connections, while Dolph represented that independent, self-made energy that a lot of street cats could relate to. By February 2016, the tension was becoming more public. Young Dolph dissed Yo Gotti on Twitter, accusing him of shifting from a fan to a hater due to the failed CMG signing. That same month, Dolph released The King of Memphis, which was seen as a direct challenge to Yo Gotti's self-proclaimed title. When you understand street politics, you know that titles like King of Memphis ain't just marketing gimmicks. They represent power, influence, and respect in the community. The beef started escalating when CMG artist Black Youngstar got involved. In March 2016, Black Youngstar threatened Dolph on Instagram and later appeared armed in Dolph's neighborhood, taking this whole situation to another level. While Yo Gotti publicly distanced himself from these actions, he didn't fully de-escalate the situation either, which in street terms can be seen as co-signing the behavior. Then came February 2017, and things got real serious real quick. Dolph released Play With Yo Bitch, a diss track targeting Yo Gotti with some deeply personal attacks. Now, diss tracks are part of hip-hop culture, but when you start talking about a man's family and his personal business, you're crossing lines that can't be uncrossed. Yo Gotti responded with Don't Beef With Me, featuring Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngstar. But by this point, the damage was done, and the streets were watching. What happened next showed just how dangerous this beef had become. In February 2017, Young Dolph's vehicle was shot at in Charlotte, North Carolina, with over 100 rounds fired. Now, Dolph survived because his car was bulletproof. And let me tell you, when you're riding around in bulletproof vehicles, you already know the level of danger you're operating in. Black Youngstar and others were charged in connection with this shooting, but the charges were later dropped due to insufficient evidence.
Man, which one? What you talking about?
In CIAA. This year.
Man, one of them had nothing to do with me. I wasn't there.
You can hear in Dolph's voice during that Breakfast Club interview that he was already moving different, already understanding that this wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was life and death.
I just feel like I'm on a, when you value life and you got so much going on, you got so many people that count on you, like, you gotta secure the bag. When I say secure the bag, that means secure everything. Your life, you gotta secure the bag for the little kids, everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, I gotta move right.
Then in September 2017, the violence escalated even further. Young Dolph was shot multiple times outside the Loews Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. Yo Gotti was staying at the same hotel and was initially named a person of interest, but the LAPD later denied his involvement. A Memphis resident named Corey McClendon was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, but once again, streets were left with more questions than answers. What's crazy is that both artists, at different times, tried to downplay the severity of their beef in public. During During interviews, they would sometimes act like it wasn't that serious, but the pattern of violence told a different story. The streets don't lie, and when bullets start flying, you can't just call it entertainment anymore. This is where Key Glock comes into the picture more prominently. As young Dolph's cousin and a rising star in the Paper Route Empire family, Key Glock wasn't just watching from the sidelines. He was part of the legacy that Dolph was building and protecting. Following Dolph's death, Key Glock emerged as a leading figure in PRE, continuing to honor Dolph's legacy while navigating the ongoing rivalry with CMG. The beef between these camps represented more than just personal animosity. It was a clash between two different philosophies of how to make it in the rap game. CMG represented the major label, industry-connected approach, while Paper Route Empire stood for that independent, self-made hustle that resonated with so many people in the streets who felt like the system wasn't built for them. But here's where this story takes its most tragic turn, and why we're really here talking about this today. All of this beef, all of this back and forth, all of these close calls and violent incidents, they were building up to something that would shake the entire hip-hop community to its core. Because on November 17th, 2021, young Dolph walked into Makeda's homemade butter cookies in South Memphis, and he never walked out alive. What happened that day, and what we've learned about it since then, reveals just how deep this beef really went, and how many lives it would ultimately destroy. The day the music died, young Dolph's murder, and the truth behind the hit. On that Wednesday afternoon in South Memphis, young Dolph was doing something he'd done countless times before, stopping by Makeda's homemade butter cookies, a local spot he frequented to support black-owned businesses in his community. This wasn't some random location. Dolph was known for his loyalty to local establishments and his commitment to giving back to Memphis. But on this day, his routine would be turned into a carefully planned execution. What went down at that cookie shop was no random drive-by, no heat-of-the-moment situation, no case of wrong place, wrong time. Surveillance footage captured two men, Justin Johnson and Cornelia Smith, exiting a white Mercedes and opening fire on young Dolph in broad daylight. The brutality of what happened next is something that still haunts everyone who knew Dolph and everyone who's followed this case. According to the autopsy report, young Dolph was shot approximately 22 times, with wounds to the head, back, chin, neck, and arms. 22 times, y'all. Let that sink in for a minute. This wasn't about sending a message or making a point. This was about making sure that young Dolph never got up again. But here's where this story gets even more tragic and more complex. During the attack, Dolph's brother Marcus Thornton was also present and was injured while trying to defend his brother. Think about that for a second. Imagine being there, watching your brother get gunned down, trying to help him, and getting hurt in the process. The trauma that this family has endured goes beyond anything we can comprehend from the outside. Now the streets immediately started talking about who was behind this hit, but it took years of investigation and a high-profile trial to reveal the full truth. 4 men were eventually charged in connection with Dolph's murder: Justin Johnson, Cornelia Smith, Hernandez Govan, and Jamarcus Johnson, who pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact. The trial of Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, became one of the most watched legal proceedings in Memphis history, and what came out during that trial shook everybody: the streets, the hip-hop community, and anyone who thought they understood how deep this beef really went.
Big Juke had a hit on Dog Head or whatnot, so 100,000 on Dog Head.
Those words you just heard, that's Cornelia Smith testifying under oath about what really happened. During the trial, prosecutors alleged that Anthony Big Juke Mims, Yo Gotti's brother and a key figure in CMG, orchestrated a $100,000 hit on young Dolph. Let me break this down for you, because this testimony revealed just how calculated and premeditated this whole thing was. According to the testimony, Big Juke allegedly offered the hit to secure Justin Johnson's signing to CMG. Think about that for a minute. Using a murder as a way to recruit talent to your record label. That's some next level street politics that goes way beyond just settling beef.
Yeah, me and him supposed to be giving Quit 10,000 apiece. I was getting 40, he was getting 40.
But here's where it gets even more twisted. Cornelia Smith testified that he participated in the hit for a promised $40,000 payout, but he only received $800 before his arrest. $800. That's what this man got for taking another human being's life.
Can you imagine killing somebody and your reward is a PlayStation? And maybe a game or two?
As Boozy said in that interview, it's absolutely insane to think about someone committing murder for what amounts to pocket change when you consider the magnitude of what they did and the lives they destroyed. The prosecution painted a picture of this murder as part of an ongoing hip-hop war between Piri and CMG, fueled by years of tension, disrespect, and competition for control of the Memphis rap scene. This wasn't just about personal beef anymore. This was about business, territory, and the kind of street politics that can turn deadly when egos and money get involved. Justin Johnson was was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and being a felon in possession of a firearm, and he was sentenced to life in prison. In Memphis, that means a minimum of 51 years, so if he's 30 now, he'd be 81 years old before he could even be eligible for parole. His whole life gone. Young Dolph's life gone. Multiple families destroyed over what started as a business disagreement. But here's where this story takes another tragic turn. Remember Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother, who was allegedly behind the hit? On January 13th, 2024, Anthony Big Jook Mims was fatally shot outside Perignon's restaurant and event center in Memphis during a repast following a funeral. The shooting was described as a targeted assassination, and to this day, no arrests have been made.
Well, after Dolph gets killed, Yo Gotti's brother, Big Juke, gets killed. Did you know Big Juke?
Yeah, Juke was my boy.
Oh, that was your friend?
Yeah, that was my boy.
Boozie's reaction to Big Jook's death shows just how connected everyone in the southern rap scene really is and how these losses affect the entire community. Big Jook's last Instagram post, made the day before his death, warned about staying alert. They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert too. Stay alive. Watch your back at all times. The streets started speculating immediately. Was Big Jook's murder retaliation for Young Dolph's death? Was it connected to the trial testimony that had implicated him in the hit, or was it something else entirely? The police haven't made any official connection, but when you're talking about street justice, sometimes the official story and the street story are two different things. Now, where does Key Glock fit into all of this? Throughout this whole tragic saga, Key Glock has been dealing with the loss of his cousin, his mentor, and the person who brought him into the rap game.
It's crazy because I was in Las Vegas last year when he passed, and I was in Las Vegas again this year, and it's like, it's crazy. How are you feeling, man, a year later?
Ain't nothing changed. I can't just get over the feeling. Like, it is what it is. It stuck with me, but I'll be all right.
You can hear the pain in Key Glock's voice when he talks about losing Dolph. This wasn't just business for him, this was family. Key Glock has consistently paid homage to Dolph, both musically and personally, including getting a tattoo of Dolph and speaking about carrying the torch for Paper Route Empire. But Key Glock also had to deal with seeing people show fake love after Dolph's death.
Did you feel like that's kind of what happened with Dolph, where you saw like, there was just all of a sudden everybody was a Young Dolph fan? You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's just a normal thing when death occurs. It's just like, I ain't gonna say it's wrong to show love, but if it ain't genuine, why do it? Like, if it ain't real, like, you know what I'm saying? So everybody know, like I know, like you know, then bro like that.
That's real talk right there. How many times have we seen people claim to love someone after they're gone when they wouldn't even acknowledge them when they were alive? Key Glock called out that fake love, and he had every right to do it. In January 2022, Key Glock released Already Know 2, Yo Gotti Diss, explicitly targeting Yo Gotti and continuing the pre-CMG rivalry even after Dolph's death. Some people questioned whether he should keep the beef going, but from Key Glock's perspective, this was about defending his family's legacy and making sure Dolph's name lived on. The impact of Young Dolph's murder went far beyond just Memphis or even just hip-hop.
We don't say that when we egging on the beef. The whole world never say that when they egging on the beef. When everybody put on the song, everybody egging out, nobody don't be saying that.
Boozy made a powerful point about how we as fans and media often encourage beef without thinking about the real consequences. We want the drama, we want the diss tracks, we want the entertainment, but we don't want to deal with the reality of what happens when that entertainment turns deadly. The aftermath and Key Glock's rise. Now we need to talk about what's happened since then, how Key Glock has been carrying on his cousin's legacy, and why there's so much lie floating around about this whole situation. First, let's address the elephant in the room, this whole narrative about Key Glock paying for Yo Gotti's murder that's been circulating on social media. Based on all the research, court testimony, and verified information available, this claim appears to be completely false and misleading. There's no credible evidence, no court documents, no witness testimony, and no legitimate news reports supporting this narrative. What we do have is extensive documentation about the opposite. Allegations that Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook put a hit on Young Dolph. Following Dolph's death, Key Glock emerged as a leading figure in Paper Route Empire, but he had to do it while dealing with grief, street politics, and the constant pressure of carrying on a legacy that was built on independence and authenticity. That's not an easy position to be in, especially when you're still young and trying to establish your own identity as an artist. Key Glock's response to all of this has been to focus on his music and honor Dolph's memory through his work. His 2022 single Proud, part of the Long Live Young Dolph compilation, was a heartfelt tribute that marked his first entry on the Billboard Hot 100. But beyond just making music, Key Glock has been vocal about the fake love and fake support that came out after Dolph's death. In that interview we heard earlier, Key Glock made it clear that he saw through all the performative grief and fake tributes.
Yeah, I feel like the Paper Route way has always just kind of been like, you guys are very much, I mean, obviously it's always been an independent thing, but like, I feel like you guys are kind of like outside of, like, you know, people do the industry, they play the industry games, and I feel like Dolph and yourself, you guys have always just kind of been on your own island, and like, whoever wants to come with us, we're over here, but we ain't chasing nobody down type.
Why chase it?
Yeah.
Why chase it?
That why chase it mentality that Key Glock talks about is something that comes directly from young Dolph's playbook. Dolph built Paper Route Empire on the principle of independence, not begging for features, not chasing industry politics, not compromising their vision for mainstream acceptance. Key Glock has carried that same energy forward, even in the face of tragedy and pressure. But the street politics didn't disappear just because Dolph was gone. Key Glock has reportedly faced blackballing attempts, primarily stemming from street gang affiliations rather than direct music industry exclusion. Tensions between Double R, Rich and Ruthless, affiliated with Key Glock's Paper Route Empire, and Trella Mafia, linked to Yo Gotti's CMG label, have restricted his ability to collaborate with certain artists. This is some real street politics that most people don't understand. It's not just about not liking someone's music. It's about affiliations, territories, and loyalties that go way deeper than the music industry. When certain artists won't work with you because of who you're connected to or where you're from, that's not about talent or business. That's about street politics affecting your career. Despite these challenges, Key Glock has continued to find success. His continued success, evidenced by sold-out tours, performances at major events like Rolling Loud, and chart performance of songs, suggests that these challenges haven't fully hindered his career. His ability to maintain mainstream traction indicates that any blackballing is more about specific collaboration restrictions than complete industry ostracism. The legal side of this story is still unfolding as well. While Justin Johnson received a life sentence for Young Dolph's murder, the investigation into who was really behind the hit is still raising questions. The trial highlighted allegations against Big Juke, but Yo Gotti himself has not been directly implicated or charged. The fact that Big Juke was killed before he could potentially face charges or provide testimony has left a lot of unanswered questions. Some people in the street see his death as street justice for what happened to Dolph. Others see it as a way to silence someone who might have had more information about what really went down. The truth is, we may never know for certain what Big Juke's death was really about or who was responsible. As of July 24th, 2025, Yo Gotti has not made recent public statements about the feud or Dolph's death, likely due to the ongoing legal proceedings and sensitivity of the topic. That silence speaks volumes because in a culture where artists usually respond to everything on social media, choosing to stay quiet suggests that there's legal advice involved. Meanwhile, Key Glock has been dealing with his own legal challenges. On March 28th, 2024, Key Glock was arrested in Atlanta, Georgia, during a traffic stop that led to charges related to firearms and marijuana possession. However, by mid-May 2024, all charges were dropped, allowing Glock to avoid jail time. The fact that Key Glock live-streamed his arrest on Instagram shows just how different this generation of artists is from previous ones. They're documenting everything in real time for better or worse, but it also shows that he's still dealing with the kind of scrutiny and legal pressure that comes with being connected to high-profile street beef. One of the most important things to understand about this whole situation is the broader impact it's had on the Memphis rap scene and hip-hop culture in general.
We feel like that right now, but when it's egging on, it's all fun and games. When everybody promoting the beef against other rappers, they love it. That's why I hate that rap beef shit, bro. I hate it, bro. I just hate it. I ain't never seen nothing good come from it. Never.
Boosie's words hit hard because they come from someone who's seen the real consequences of street beef throughout his career. He's not speaking from the outside looking in. He's speaking from experience about how this culture of promoting beef and conflict can lead to real tragedy. The death of Young Dolph has forced a lot of people in hip-hop to reconsider how they approach beef and conflict. When you have artists like, that's the real cost of all this violence.
You know how many people miss Dolph, man? And miss Big Juke, man? It fed a lot of people, bro. Like, we just, you know, we is on the outside looking in, we just think about that shit a couple days and whatever else on social media after that, but they families, they children, they brothers and they cousins, them people hurt for that shit.
The families left behind, the children who grow up without, fathers, the communities that lose positive role models, and successful business owners who were creating jobs and opportunities. Key Glock has had to carry this weight while also trying to build his own career and maintain the Paper Route Empire legacy. In March 2025, Glock signed with Republic Records while remaining under Paper Route Empire, marking a significant step in his career. This move shows that despite all the street politics and tragedy, he's still focused on taking his music to the next level and expanding expanding Dolph's vision on a larger scale. The release of Key Glock's fourth studio album, Glockavelli, on May 2nd, 2025, represents more than just new music. It represents the continuation of everything young Dolph died for. The album title itself is a play on Machiavelli, Tupac's alias, showing that Key Glock understands the parallels between his situation and other legendary artists who were taken too soon due to street politics. What's interesting is how Key Glock has handled the pressure to keep the beef going versus focusing on positive growth. While he did release Already Know 2, Yo Gotti Diss, in 2022, he's mostly focused his energy on building his career and honoring Dolph's memory through success rather than continued conflict. In July 2023, during a Fan Kwanda session, Key Glock avoided a question about collaborating with CMG artists, responding with a laughing gif. This shows that the tension is still there, but he's handling it with maturity rather than escalating the situation further. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.